Friends, attention! October 2025 arrives with very important announcements from SASSA, the South African Social Security Agency. Millions of people depend on its grants every month, and in recent weeks the government has confirmed increases, adjustments, and structural changes that directly affect those who receive this aid. If you or someone in your family gets the monthly SRD payment, an older person's pension, or a child support grant, stay with me. In the next few minutes, we will review the updated figures, the official payment schedule, and more. Today, I want to clearly explain to you the big news that SASSA confirmed or discussed for October 2025. 1. The increase in social grants for the elderly and others. For example, the pension now exceeds R2320 per month. 2. The progress in the UBIG project, which aims to guarantee a permanent basic income for all citizens in vulnerable situations. 3. The new payment structure of the SRD grant, the social relief assistance that many knew as the R350, which is evolving and changing the system. So stay until the end, because I'm going to explain not only the numbers, but also how to check your payment, what requirements to meet, and what mistakes to avoid so you don't lose your benefits. Let's start with the most important thing, money. As of this month, several SASSA grants have been officially increased. The base old age pension amount is now R2320 per month, up from R2310. For pensioners aged 75 and above, the grant rises slightly to R2340. This increase is modest, just R10, but it's meant to help offset the rising cost of living. It may not sound like much, but SASSA describes this small but steady raise as part of a sustainability policy, preferring gradual increases that won't compromise the national budget in the long run. In addition to pensions, other grants have been adjusted by the same amount. The disability grant and the care dependency grant both increased from R2310 to R2320. The war veterans grant went from R2330 to R2340. Child grants and other support grants also saw minor upward adjustments as part of the October budget update. What about the special pandemic-era relief grant? Don't worry. The SRD grant is still in force this month at an amount of R370 per beneficiary. Remember, this subsidy began as the R350 grant during the pandemic, but was later increased to R370 to account for accumulated inflation. SASSA has kept it at R370 for October, and for now you can count on that amount each month. The bottom line for October 2025 is slightly more money in all grants, not a huge raise, but a bit of relief for millions of families who rely on this income each month. Many beneficiaries still line up at SASSA, pay points on designated dates. To avoid confusion and crowds, it's very important to know the exact payout schedule for October 2025. What about the SRD R370 grant? Those payments are processed a bit differently. Since the SRD is delivered mostly through bank transfers or other digital methods, SASSA usually processes those later in the month. In fact, SASSA typically disburses SRD payments between the 20th and 27th of each month, and for October 2025, they expected to do the same, processing payments from roughly October 20th through October 27th. Keep in mind that the order of SRD payments may vary depending on your ID number and the payment method you chose. So if your friend got their R370 on the 21st and you haven't yet, don't panic, yours might come a few days later during that payout window. Now, let's talk about the most concrete change SASSA has officially confirmed, the new structure of the SRD grant. For the past few years, the SRD grant was a temporary program aimed at helping people who were hit hardest by the pandemic and the economic crisis. By October 2025, however, the SRD is entering a new stage. It's not being eliminated, but it is being transformed into something slightly different and more permanent. In fact, SASSA announced that the old Basic Income 2020 grant format would be stopped and replaced by new support programs starting this month. This change means that people who were getting the R350 to 370 payments before will need to check what new programs or criteria they might qualify for going forward. What does this new structure look like? Essentially, the government is moving from one broad grant to multiple targeted forms of assistance. SASSA and the Department of Social Development have introduced 4 main types of help to take the place of the general SRD grant: an expanded social relief of distress grant, which has been slightly increased and continues to support unemployed adults, now at R370 per month as noted. A new youth employment support grant, which is a stipend, around R500, to help young people who are not in school or work. This program usually runs for a limited period to boost youth employment prospects. An unemployed worker transitional aid program, which provides a temporary grant, about R450 monthly, to adults aged 36 to 60 who recently lost their jobs. This is meant to fill the gap for older adults who are not yet at pension age but find themselves unemployed. A pilot basic income support voucher system, which instead of cash provides needy individuals with food or essential goods vouchers, approximately R300 value. This voucher experiment is aimed at those in extreme poverty, with no income at all, to ensure they can get basic necessities. These programs together aim to cover most people who were benefiting from the old SRD grant in one way or another, but in a more segmented fashion, targeting specific groups and needs. Along with these new grant programs, SASSA has also changed how payments are delivered and verified. The agency is moving toward a more digital, modernized system for all grants. For one, you will now need a bank account or mobile wallet to receive payments in most cases. Collecting cash at the post office is no longer an option, as that service has been discontinued. Additionally, as mentioned earlier, everyone must use biometric identification to prove who they are when applying or re-verifying. This is to combat fraud and make sure the grants go to the right people. Also, payment days are now staggered based on ID numbers for certain grants. That means the exact date you receive your money might depend on the last digits of your ID, which helps prevent millions of people from all rushing on the same day. In practical terms, if you were an SRD grant recipient under the old system and you still qualify for help, you will likely need to take action to transition into the new system. SASSA has advised that those who receive the UBI, the basic income payments before, should reapply or update their details under the new programs. You'll need to submit a new application for the appropriate grant to continue getting assistance. You must also make sure SASSA has your correct bank information on file. And as noted, you have to get your fingerprints and photo verified if you haven't done so already. After applying, you should check your status on the SASSA SRD website regularly to see if you're approved under the new system. SASSA is implementing cross-checks with other government databases as well, for example with the Department of Labor, to prevent people with significant alternative income from claiming these grants fraudulently. In short, the phrase SASSA ends the Universal Basic Income Grant that you may have seen in some headlines does not mean an abrupt end to all aid. In reality, it refers to the closure of the previous temporary pandemic era grant format and the beginning of a new, more permanent and digitized modality of social support. So folks, don't worry, the SRD Social Relief Aid is still active, it's just changing form. October payments are being made normally, as I said, between the 20th and 27th, and beneficiaries will continue to receive support. The main changes are administrative and about how you qualify and get paid, not a total cancellation of aid. October of this year marks a new chapter in the history of social assistance in South Africa. The small increases to grants, like the pension going to R2320 and the SRD fixed at R370, may seem modest, but they represent stability for millions of families who rely on this income each month. SASSA and the government are making changes to help the right people in the long run, and they want this new system to last. If you keep yourself updated through official channels and follow the guidelines, you will continue to receive the support you depend on. In short, change is in the air, but if you stay alert and prepared, you won't be left behind by it. Good luck and take care.